So, you want to get rid of a narcissist for good. Excellent. Now, it's going to be tough because narcissists always come back. They have terms for this, like one guy called it the harem garage. That's weird. Another person said a farmhouse. I basically just say a roster. Narcissistic people typically have a list of people that they have on standby, kind of like basketball, right? They have people who are on the bench and they have a certain team, and the team doesn't have to be sexual. It can be friends, it can be family, it could be coworkers. But typically narcissistic people always have at least 3 to 4 to 5 people in their rotation for attention, right? If they have social media, consider that part of it, because since the age of COVID and the rise of social media, it's been very, very easy for narcissistic people to get their attention and validation through false narratives via social media. And this is why I don't really like social media, because it is smoke and mirrors. But they're perfect for narcissists, right? Because they can just say whatever, and typically people are going to accept it as true first blush. So, now that you know this, narcissistic people treasure people who they deem to be more valuable than themselves. And it doesn't have to be all the way around, right? A narcissist still has to think that they have something over everyone else. A position of power, a certain status, something. But the people that they want to have validation from has to have something special about them, right? And so they are very good at picking out people who are insecure, but they have something very awesome about them. Now that you know that narcissistic people need to have validation from people who they think are emotionally weaker than them, but in other traits stronger than them. And these people exist. Now, you want to know how to get rid of them for good. There is a way to do that. But you have to be in a certain heart and head space. You have to be healed to the point where now you just don't care. You don't care of watching the world burn around you. And when I say that, is that a lot of people still need external validation from their friends, from their loved ones. I feel, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, that a lot of people get into relationships because they don't like to be alone for any amount of time. When you are healing, you're going to be okay with being by yourself. That doesn't mean you're a hermit. It just means that you don't need external validation to make your life great. That just means that you've already searched within and you love yourself, and that you already have your own validation. You don't need someone else's validation. You have to be in that place where you are okay losing relationships, period. And if you are in that space, you will not lose a good, healthy relationship, be it a friendship, be it a family, be it loved ones, be it work. If you are in a good relationship and you have very strong boundaries, it will only make that relationship better, right? But if you're in a toxic relationship, it's going to make it worse. So you have to be okay with yourself. You have to be good with yourself. You have to love yourself. You have to go through those hoops. Now, here is how you get a narcissist to get out of your hair for good. Because they're going to come back. And they're going to try their negotiation tactics. They're going to try to make you think about what was, and, the past, and, the laughter you both shared and whatever. It's just smoke and mirrors. They're just trying to see if you have these emotional flaws that you did before, so then they can worm their way into them and wreak havoc. And after they do their negotiation, after they try to buy you out and woo you, if you still want to have them do that, do so. But if you don't and you want them out of your life for good, you just say the following. Thank you for calling me, but I cannot have a relationship with someone who is not communicative, someone who is not transparent about their needs and desires, and someone who will not hold accountability for their actions. Until you show me that you can do these things on a consistent basis, we have nothing else to discuss. Good day. And then just be silent. So multiple things will happen when you do this. The first thing that will happen is the narcissist will ghost you, period. And you know what? Let them go, because they have read the writing on the wall, which is, I cannot get any validation from this person because they have verbally stated that this is what they expect, and there is no wiggle room for negotiation. This is not worth it for me. I'm out. What else they'll do is they will try to call your bluff. They will say, oh, she's just kidding. There's no way. Like, she never did this before. And so they're going to act like you didn't say anything. And they're going to still try and work you over. And then you just say the whole thing again. If you are not transparent, if you are not communicative, if you will not hold yourself accountable, we have nothing to discuss. Basically, you just become a broken record. This is going to frustrate them, and then they'll ghost you. Last, which actually happened to me from a family member, is they will go on a raging temper tantrum, and they will basically try to call you every name under the sun. They will try to make you into the bad guy. They will. They'll flip the script. They will turn your words and say that you're not the one who's communicative. How dare you demand that they're communicative? Does that make sense to you? You basically communicated your needs, but then all of a sudden you didn't communicate your needs. That's that narcissistic salad talk. That's that double speak that they're so good at. But you've already said something that's very concrete and it won't change. So they're going to have a temper tantrum. They're going to try and see if they can emotionally break you down. They're going to see if, they call you names, if they emotionally try to manipulate you, will you break down? Don't. Because this is their way. This is their last call for alcohol to see if they can get anything. And so what this family member did was basically just said, F you then, and then tried to have this long rant. And I was just silent and I just watched, right? And then they tried to look for a response. And I said, until you're communicative, until you can be transparent, and until you can hold accountability for your actions, we have nothing else to discuss. And then they said, well, you know what? Just forget about me then. Forget I exist. You no longer exist to me. I was like, okay. And then they vanished. But of course, they had their flying monkeys come back, to see what happened. And I was straight with the flying monkeys. I said, well, this person did X, Y, and Z. And I demanded, not asked, demanded that they become an adult. And they refused. And so since they refuse, we have nothing else to say to each other. And that will actually make the flying monkeys disappear too, because they're just like, well, this person is actually being kind of logical. Unless they're kind of like on the narcissist side, they're going to just disappear like, oh, dude, that's a lost cause, blah, blah, blah. But if they're actually logical flying monkeys, like they genuinely care about the narcissist, but they're also not super into the Kool-Aid, because not all flying monkeys, I guess you say, or people who are associated with the narcissist are just loyal to them completely, to the point where they won't look at logic. Like, that's not true. they will say, you know what? That's logical. You're not asking for anything horrible. You're just asking for them to be an adult. So I'm not going to bother you with them anymore. Like, they'll bow out and be respectful about it. So when you keep these boundaries very firm and you become a broken record, you shine a light into the dark corners of the narcissist games. All right. You don't chase them. You don't play any weird games with them. You just tell them straight up, you're acting like a child. And you're acting like a child that doesn't want to evolve. And that's cool with some people, but that's not cool with me. And since that's not cool with me, we have nothing else to talk about. Nothing makes a narcissist more mad than being told that they have to follow fucking rules. Period. And so when you basically tell them these are the rules, they'll leave. It's no point for them. They'll leave and they'll give you peace. And I say that honestly because I've done this multiple times, especially since lockdown happened, especially since COVID's happened. And you know what? It's worked every single time. When you call a narcissist out on their stuff, you don't tell them who they are. You're just like, you're going to do this when you talk to me, or we're not going to talk at all. They will choose not to talk at all. And that's great for everybody. So have a good one.